Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. This is Steph, founder of Host Agency Reviews. Thank you for tuning in to the Friday 15, where every Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time, because we're based out of Minneapolis, we answer the questions you have submitted, and we have gotten so many great ones in here. Carolyn Orff with KHM Travel Group is with us today. Hello, Carolyn.
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
I was so excited to be here. Those of you that are on YouTube can see every time I come on, I'm always like, Carolyn, your hair looks so amazing. How do you do it? Again, she has beautiful, luscious locks of hair surrounding her face. And those that are on YouTube can see I have a do-rag on and a ponytail of wires coming out of my hair. Do not worry, everything's okay. I'm just getting an EEG. So it's very unfortunate that it's during the Friday 15, as this is not the look I would prefer. But yet here we are. So let's go into you know what? First of all, I'm going to pop the link in if you have questions. So if you can ask questions, you can submit them there. But I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, but our hosted advisor report is coming out soon, Carolyn, and we are super excited.
Mm-hmm. We're excited to read it. It always, it helps guide us. Believe it or not, it helps guide us in the next year.
No, I totally believe it, because there's so much information on what the hosted advisor is doing. And this year we added, there's a new group section that Mary added. Mary added more in-depth tech stack section on what people are using. Lots of information there. There's a media section that talks about the sources that hosted advisors are watching, listening, etc. And what their preferred method of learning about industry news is. So lots and lots of cool stuff going on. And just a few things I wanted to do a little teasers. So in 2023, this is some of the facts that are going to be in the report, everybody. 10% of new advisors earned over $25,000 in income, which is very impressive. And for those of you that are like, that's not very much money, first couple years are slow. So this is actually really great. 3% of new advisors, and this is people with 0, 1, or 2 years of experience, earned over $50,000. And if we narrow that down to full-time new advisors, so a lot of people start part-time, the percentage increases to 26% are earning $25,000 and 8% are earning over $50,000. So great news for new advisors.
That's
for
great.
Those of you, for those that are experienced, the average income for a full-time experienced advisor is a whopping $67,000, $256.00.
Perfect.
Yep. And then for the experienced advisors, 15% of them had over $1 million in sales. So this is a force to be reckoned with, Carolyn.
Absolutely. Well, we're seeing it at KHM. Absolutely. We've got more $1 million producers than we've ever seen before. And it's so fun to watch.
It is. It's so cool. People can make a living out of their passion. Those of you that took the survey, which goes out every April through June every year. Those of you that took the survey, you will be getting a free copy of the survey or the report. Thank you for all of the data you gave us. That's what helps us produce this amazing report. If you didn't take it, they are available right now for pre-order, and you can save 10%. We will link to that in the comments. But great info coming out. And just a few more things for everybody. We have some webinars coming up I wanted to remind everybody for. If you aren't signed up for our newsletter, make sure to sign up for it, because then you'll also we do one on the full moon, and then we do one on the new moon. And the new moon has all of our webinars that are coming up and educational opportunities. So we have one on scaling success for as roadmap for aspiring travel advisors on September 11th. We have one on closing the deal, how to get more clients to book with you on September 24th. And then we have one on 5 things to prepare for every discovery call to establish your expertise and secure new business. And that's on September 25th. So we'll put the link to all those if you're interested in them, and let's get into the questions.
Perfect.
All right. This one, Shannon A is wondering, My friend and I are interested in launching an agency together. We each bring slightly different skill sets to the table and have already worked together and been students together and have been close for decades. Great to hear. All right. When evaluating host agencies, we see that only TravelQuest / World Via host agency seems to have a membership option geared towards a 2-person agency. Do other host agencies have a way to structure things so that 2 advisors that are working together under the same hosted advisors that share clients work together towards revenue goals and tiers of memberships? From the outside looking in, it appears that if we went with an agency like Fora, we'd have to each independently reach revenue goals to unlock certain perks and access. So Shannon, or not Shannon, Shannon is our questioner. Carolyn, how does it work at KHM?
So the question couldn't be more timely, Stephanie, because we're actually working on a membership right now. We have seen an influx of people that want to come into the business. They've known someone for many years. They want to work together, and so we are currently working on that membership element. With that said, we currently have some people that are working in partnership. If that is you and you like everything else KHM has to offer, please give our membership team a call, because there are options available to you, and they're happy to kind of listen to what it is you're looking for and work out something with you. So, just because it's not posted on a website, and this goes for any host,
Mm,
call and ask the questions. If you like everything else that the host has to offer, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and say, this is what I'm looking for. We do currently have what we call the agency program, and that is where someone is looking to expand their team, and you're sort of working out in partnership but for someone. So that is also an opportunity. And we have
mm.
oh gosh, over 100 agency directors right now that have people that are working with them. They don't want to really own their own business. They want to work with someone, and it's a really fun program. We've got part-time agents. We've got a lot of agents that look for agents who want to specialize in something. So we've got those Disney agents that are working under someone who focuses mainly on cruises. So that's another interesting element that you could explore.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got over 100 agency directors, and we're having our first agency director business summit in December with content specifically geared towards what it's like to not only be a small business owner with your own agency, but have people working with you to reach your goals.
So would you classify that as kind of like a sub-agent program if someone wants to,
Yes.
like a host within
Hmm.
a host? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, Shannon, great question here. I want to dive in a little deeper on a few things now that we know what KHM does. And that is fantastic advice for always asking the host agency. Another thing you can do besides giving them a call is, I'm just on KHM's profile here for those that are on YouTube. If you go to a host agency's profile, if you there's number one, there's a question and answers tab. So that's a great place if you don't want to have to call everybody or email everybody, and you want, this is a public information. If you want like other advisors to be able to benefit from your answer, go ahead and go to the question and answer, and you can submit it there. The other thing to look for is under the details tab of each host agency is going to be under program details. There's an area that says they allow sub-agents, yes or no. And that's a great start for seeing if a host agency has this kind of host within a host program. Because what you're looking for, Shannon, is kind of, they won't be your independent contractor, but that you can have like multiple people under one umbrella. And that's also a filter you can use on the main host page. So that's a little information there, but I wanted to share because going into business with a partner is something great. You have a long history together. Great that you've been friends and you've worked together. But the the way to be successful when you have a partnership is to think about things proactively ahead of time so that the expectations are set.
Hmm.
Everybody knows exactly what's happening because you may go into business a year later, someone may have had a job loss or maybe their parents got ill and now they're only able to work 5 hours a week. So, what happens when you're working 50 hours a week and your partner is working 5? How do you split things? And so I'm going to link to, or have Abby or Mary link to a Friday 15 we did with Katie from Turn. And Turn has a partnership, a 3-way partnership, I think. And she talks about the different things she did beforehand, which are really helpful. It's things like doing a personality test to make sure you know what the strengths of each person are, talking ahead of time about like situations that might come up. How do you divvy things out? And as people's life circumstances change, how do you readjust things? So wanted to link to that as a resource because that's important.
Well, and Stephanie, if I can add, when we think about partnerships, and we think about even, being a sub agent, my thought is always, you're looking for someone who fills a void where you, or a skill set that you don't have, right? If you
Hmm.
both are great at the same thing, um, that's going to be a very one-sided partnership. Something's going to fall by the wayside over here. So when you're thinking, as wonderful as they may be, lifelong friends, you have a lot in common. How does that work within a business structure?
Hmm.
Because you both
Exactly.
doing the same things and having the same strengths over here is not going to work well in a business environment. You really need someone who's going to balance you out and offer something that you can't provide or don't
Yeah,
want to provide.
and partnerships can be great. It's just thinking ahead to make sure that
Yes.
everybody's on the same
Yep.
has the same idea of things. And then I wanted to touch on, so with definitely, it's not just Travel Quest / World Via. Like again, check people's profiles. But the other thing you mentioned, Fora, and I wanted to explain that. Fora it is a little bit unique. I don't know of a lot of hosts that do this, Shannon, but with Fora, you do have to meet in order to access their Virtuoso, which is their consortium. Their Virtuoso perks, their individual members have to reach certain revenue goals. That's not usually the case for a lot of other host agencies. But again, you can ask in the question and answers, or you can reach out to them. I would say the only exception, and correct me if I'm wrong here on KHM, Carolyn, but I would say the only exception for that would be maybe for in a host agency for fam trips or for awards trips. There is usually going to be some kind of a threshold that you have to meet. Is that true for you?
It's true about 95% of the time. We have
Hmm.
some fam trips that will be open to everyone. There are others that are going to, you have to reach a certain level in sales in order to receive that invite. Yes.
Perfect. So we'll also link to, if you're curious about fam trips, how to go on them, what they're like, what the requirements are. We'll link to our article on travel agent fam trips that'll have everything on there that you have ever wanted. So actually, you know what? And then I forgot, we have an article with travel agent rates. So, once you reach a certain threshold, usually $5,000 in commissions during a 12-month period, you're able to go and access and tap into some of these travel advisor rates. So we have over 200, I think. So we'll link to that as a resource as well. All right. Next question from Robin B. What merchant account service should you use to take payments for bookings? Okay, and then what is the difference between Travefy, TravelJoy, and Turn, which are all travel agent technologies? So let's start with merchant account to take payments for bookings, Carolyn.
Okay. So I'm going to be as kind as possible here. With KHM, and I don't think KHM is the only one that does this. If you're with a host or another agency, there is probably a clause in your contract that says you may not take payments for client bookings. So I just want to be clear because Robin, if you're newer, maybe you don't know that that's the case. So really, what we're looking for is the question might be, how do I collect payments securely? Right. So in our contract at KHM, we do not allow agents to collect and then pay a supplier, right, with their own credit card. What we want you to do is collect that payment information securely, and then you go with that information directly to the supplier. So we have a system in place in order to collect that information securely, and it's kind of a two-step process because it's secure, and then we ask you to go collect that 3-digit code, 4-digit code separately. So that's kind of the first piece. when you're thinking about what service to use, and that's sort of where Turn, TravelJoy, and Travify can come into play, my rule of thumb is use the system in place that your host or agency is providing for you first. I'm all about free tools. If you're paying a membership fee or giving a part of your commission away as part of a membership fee, use the tools that they're providing to you. If they do not offer something that is secure or PCI compliant, that's when I would say, okay, now go seek an alternative source, because this is something that's really important. It helps prevent against chargebacks. You want to make sure that you're covered, not just payment wise, but other authorizations, travel protection, travel disruptions, terms and conditions, all of those things you should be getting your clients to sign off on before you ever make payment on that vacation. So TravelJoy, Travify, and Turn, they're all systems to help you with workflow. And they offer some of the same capabilities. Some of them offer different capabilities. So what I would suggest you do is sit down and write down what your workflow looks like and what you're not getting from your existing tool that might be provided for you. Once you have that information, I would then go and do the demos or watch the demo videos for those 3 products. And then from there, if you like one of them, do the 7-day trial and see what it looks like. At the end of the day, if I'm going to pay for something, I'm looking at the cost associated with it, what void it's filling for me, and to be honest, is it visually appealing? When things tend to be visually appealing, they tend to be easy to use. And therefore, it's not something that I have to then train myself on 20 hours in order to make it work. And believe it or not, I feel this way about booking engines as well. And when suppliers say, why don't you use us? I'll be very honest. I can't figure out your booking engine. It doesn't work for me visually, and I just struggle. So I go to the next person, and they'll kind of be stop and say, that's really it. Yes, that's it. It does not work for my brain. So that's kind of my suggestion, Robin. But the big concern there is whether or not you, with whatever contract you have in place, whether or not you're allowed to take those payments. And that varies from agency to agency, but I'm pretty certain most hosts say, no. You need to be collecting information and making the payments directly with the supplier. Am I wrong there, Stephanie?
Yes. No, just kidding.
Yes. Yes, you're wrong.
Yeah. Actually, erase everything Carolyn just said. Let me tell you the real news. Right. So I will say that this is when you're clear on this, because when you're new to the industry, it's a little confusing because you feel like, oh, I'm going to be the one paying, like the money will go through me and then I'll pay. But the way it works as a travel advisor is you're actually just this intermediary. And this is like in 90%. If you're doing FITs, it might be a little bit different if they don't have a portal set up or something. But with a host agency, the reason why they don't want the payment going through you is there's the seller of travel laws, which we'll link to, that affects service fees too. So if you're thinking of charging a fee, this goes along with what Carolyn was saying. Check your contract, because certain states have seller of travel laws, and that can really affect your service fees or consultation fees that you might be charging on top of the trip, and whether that money can go through you legally or if it has to go through the host. So we'll link to an article that has a lot more detail on that, because it's too much to go over. And the other thing to know, we'll link to Travify, Turn, and TravelJoy, but we are going to be launching our travel agency software profile in about 2 weeks, maybe 3, but we will have all of those up there. They will have demo videos. You'll be able to see which host agencies are using which technologies, and then check out the technologies. There'll be information on their pricing, whether they have free trials, if they're PCI compliant, a ton of information, and then also user reviews and a place to ask question and answers. So be on the lookout for that. I've linked to that in the show notes for everybody. And then let's see. I think that was pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure, Robin, that it's important you understand that the payments go through the supplier usually, like the host doesn't even touch the money. And then making sure that you're aware for consultation and service fees, it's It's very common for the host to say you can't run those on your own because of seller of travel laws. And again, we'll put more information on there.
And Stephanie, I
Um,
just want to add, it's a much cleaner transaction for the client when you are telling them, I don't charge your card. You will see the charge from Royal Caribbean, from, United Vacations. It's so much cleaner and it's so much easier to say that to the client. And it has made life much easier.
yeah, and so the situation, because most people, are going to run it through the supplier when they're an advisor. The situation where this seems to pop up and be a problem is those FITs,
Hmm.
because if you've got 17 hotels you're booking and all these things, you probably are like, oh, I don't want my client to have 52 charges on their credit card. I want it all
Hmm.
in one. So I'll take the money from them. I'll pay the vendor, but I'll just charge them one lump sum. And that's where you need to be checking in with your host agency to make sure
Yep.
that that's legit and that you're following the rules.
Yes.
Cool. So last question here is from Anonymous. So they say, hi, Stephanie. Hello. Uh, Loving your podcast. You provide. Thank you for all you do. It's a team effort here at HAR. Um, I'm working through the 7-day Setup Lite, and that's our course on getting your agency started. And I'm brainstorming a name for my agency. I came up with one I keep coming back to. I Googled it as you recommend, and there is not much competition. Then I searched the trademark database, and there are 3 trademarks similar to my name, but they are all dead. Should I be concerned about using this name if all similar trademarks are dead? I don't want to give up this name unnecessarily, but I also don't want to set myself up for trouble down the road. How would you advise? Thanks so much for sharing your expertise. Carolyn, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I just want to say, Anonymous, why are you anonymous? This is such a great question. And the fact that you're doing the 7-day course and you're doing your research, like, I love you to start with. I just think this is fantastic because not everyone goes to these lengths to make sure that they are covering their bases. So for this question, I had to reach out to our marketing team at KHM and do a little research because I really wasn't sure what the answer was. So I didn't realize trademarks could be dead. And essentially what that means is that it's lost its federal protections, right? And the way someone does that is because they are not maintaining it. And therefore, when it becomes dead, anyone can use it. However, there's kind of this, caveat that if the owner is kind of still sort of using it here or there, that they could come back and still have rights to it. So really at the end of the day, it's, do you really want to go down that road? And I know you love the name, but I feel like there's too many things that could stack up against you perhaps in the future. And, anything like this could end up being expensive. Ask our compliance team at KHM. They'll tell you that some of these things can get very expensive if you're that committed to them. Consult an attorney, ask for some professional advice. But at the end of the day, if someone hasn't maintained a trademark, I would be asking myself why and what sort of baggage comes along with that trademark, right? Are there reviews or impressions out there on the internet that you can't get rid of? So I would kind of be second guessing this. Find something that's similar that you still love. A name can take time. I know when I started my business, I started with a name that I loved because it was something that my family said in travel. I'm not going to tell you what it was. But I want to say 5 years later, I actually changed my name. And the reason I changed my name is because the name I had was too similar to another name that was sitting out there in the world of travel. And it didn't accurately represent what I provided to my clients. And I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go through a total rebranding. So, and that was something that I really didn't think about when I picked the name. I just loved the name because it was something that as a family, we always said when we talked about travel. So that's my little bit of advice.
Well, that's great advice. And I feel like Anonymous, I feel like, depending on the circumstances, I think you need to dig in. I reached out to, when Carolyn's talking about reaching out to attorney, I reached out to my trademark attorney, Scott, who, well, I feel like I'll trademark attorneys are kind of nerds about trademark law. So anyhow, I'm going to link to Scott's profile in case anyone's interested in working with him, but he was kind enough to kind of give his feedback for everybody on it. And this is what Scott says. So in the US, performing a search of trademark registration and applications in the USPTO trademark database is a good first step before using a new mark. However, knowing how to search and how to interpret the search are both important. I just love how formal it is. Regarding the
Yeah.
latter,
Yeah.
the status of a trademark may be identified as dead. You should investigate further as to why the trademark registration and application is dead. And that's where I think for you, Anonymous, that digging into this can give you more insights on if this makes sense for you. So he says a trademark application or registration or trademark application may be dead due to cancellation or abandonment. A trademark registration may be canceled, for example, due to a failure to renew the registration, or if a third party successfully petitioned for a cancellation of the registration. So that would be like if a third party has prior rights to a similar mark. So when you get your trademark approved, there's a period where it goes out for like 30 days. And it's like, hey, world,
Mhm.
Stephanie's Trademarking Host Agency Reviews. If you've got objections, let us know. And then he says a trademark application may be abandoned, for example, due to issues raised during the registration process. Things like a likelihood of the confusion with another trademark, it's too similar, or unclear identifications of goods or services, or insufficient use of the mark. So if you try to like put in your application 4 days after you've started your company, they're probably going to be
Mhm.
like, you haven't really staked your claim yet. We need you to do a little bit more. He says, or it may be abandoned simply because the person was unfamiliar with the registration process, so they weren't able to go all the way through. And then he says, just because a trademark registration or application is dead does not necessarily mean the other entity no longer has rights to the mark, nor does it mean that you are free to use the mark. The other entity may still have common law rights in the mark, and if you use it, you may be liable for trademark infringement. So, furthermore, you may invest valuable resources in starting to use the mark only to be denied use of the mark or refuse registration yourself. Consequently, I love these. Scott's great. Consequently, before adopting or attempting to register a dead trademark, you should discuss with an experienced trademark attorney and they can advise you accordingly. So, one of the things a trademark, attorneys aren't cheap, but you can easily reach out to someone and they can give you, if you reach out to Scott within a half hour, an hour, he could give you the rundown on like, yes, this is going to work for you, or no, I wouldn't because why. And so maybe worth the couple $100 just to make sure you're not putting your name into that if it's something you really, really love. Um, Things I'm going to link to for everybody. First is our article on choosing travel agency names, which is what Anonymous was referencing. That has all the tips about searching, how to do organic search, see what pulls up in Google and other search engines. We're going to link to Scott's attorney page in case people want to reach out to him. We'll also link to our 7-day setup. We have the free version, and then we have the more complete and comprehensive, more support, helps you get set up faster, our 7-day setup accelerator course. So all of that information, we covered a ton today. I do want to say, I know there is a question here sitting from you, Crystal, if you're tuning in, about Canadian agencies. I'm just waiting to hear back from ACTA, and we will get back to you soon.
Great.
Now, Carolyn, in the meantime, people want to learn about KHM. They want to chat with you. They want to hear about these great trips and boot camps you have scheduled for advisors. What's the best places to reach out?
Oh gosh, reach out to our membership team. And they can walk you through anything that is membership related, becoming part of KHM. But look, if you have questions about education, please reach out to myself or my team. We're education@khmtravel.com. And we would love to talk to you about what we offer and how we do it. And we're really committed. I'm a travel advisor myself. I'm a former teacher. And so everything is guided by experience and what we're seeing in the travel scape today. And we just love it.
Excellent. Okay, so if they want to reach out to membership on your site or on your profile, there'll be like a place they can send a message, and that'll go to the membership team.
Yes, yes,
Perfect.
they can reach the membership team. They can call us. There's a chat feature. We're everywhere.
Fax. Is there a fax available?
I think we did get rid of the fax. When I've been in the office, because I'm in Denver and the office is in Brunswick, Ohio, I've never heard the beeping noises. So I'm thinking the fax might be gone now.
Well, you're missing out, but we will link to KHM's profile for everybody, as well as put up the education at KHM travel email for everybody in the show notes. Thank you for joining us today, Carolyn.
Thank
We really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Stephanie. I hope to see you soon.
Definitely. And coming up for future Friday 15th, next week, we have September 13th, Travel Leaders Lindsay Taylor Lauer. Actually, it's Lindsay Lauer now. Lindsay Lauer from Travel Leaders 365 is going to be on. September 20th, the following week, we'll have Nexion team on. And then September 27th, Travel Edge is going to be our co-host. So make sure to join us. If you want to get email alerts, you can go to hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15 and sign up for those. And I know we ran super late today, but chock full of information for everybody. So thank you again, Carolyn, and thank you to all of you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great weekend, everybody.